The three things. The year was 2002. I was like 18, single, happy, and enjoying my life. My family decided, joint family system, that I needed to be engaged. So, I was asked and I said yes. They had a girl in mind. She was 15. We were engaged for 7 years when I had a car accident which shattered my life. I lost my looks and got like 5 different surgeries within a year. I was still on bed when she tells me that she wants us to be married. I was reluctant but gave in and we got married. A couple years later we were blessed with a beautiful son. She said she didn't want any more kids and that was that. I found a job and we were getting by. Something changed. She started to fight with me and leave home to go back to stay with her family for days, weeks, and sometimes even months. I trusted her so much to see all that in a different light. I thought about it and decided that she was just spoiled, which is a very common thing where I am from. 10 years went by. I suspected things but I never checked, even though I was hurting because I was too afraid. I was dragging the marriage somehow. In July 2020, she was at her parents' for last 2 months as usual and called me to come pick her up. I went and immediately felt that the woman in front of me wasn't my wife. The next day, I found her texting. I went up to her and asked her to hand me her phone. She refused. I snatched it away from her and then gave her a chance to come clean before I checked the phone. She didn't want to check the phone, so she confessed that she has been talking to some other married guy. She even confessed that she has slept with him once as well. At that time, it was all that I needed to hear. We had a huge fight for like 2 to 3 days. I kept it all to myself, and for the sake of my love for her and my son's happiness, we decided to stay together provided that she stops all that. We stayed in the same home for 3 months, during which I found out that there was more to the story. The lying and deceiving never stops. She admitted that she knew that guy since before marriage and has been in contact with him. That is when I found out why she was always cold and distant. She left us in October last year and we have been on our own since then. From what I hear, she is happy. On the other hand, I was fired from my job because I couldn't focus. I am talented and can do many things, but all I do is think about her. I am fed up with this. I don't want to hurt on her account. My son misses her but refuses to go see her. He will be 11 in 2022. I have stopped all contact with her. I have cried my heart out. I have prayed, meditated, and have been taking depression and anxiety meds. Nothing seems to work. It's been a year. I want to move on but I can't. I am stuck in suffering. Even the smile on my son's face and his needs don't make me feel even the least bit motivated to stand back up and power through. We don't have many psychologists in my country because you know men don't need to cry, vent, and all that BS. Last 19 years of my life keep haunting me. Is there any hope for me? How do I move forward? About the kid, he was always attached to me more than her. He saw that she was always the one to initiate a fight, and I always tried to calm her down, talk to her in soft voice even when she was throwing a tantrum. He knew that she gets what she asks for. She made the kid live without her for shorter periods of time in the beginning, like few days. Then it turned into weeks, and then into months. Even when he was very young, she never woke up to give him the bottle. When she left the last time, I tried to stop her even though I knew it was in vain. You know, if me swallowing my pride can keep the kid and mother together, then so be it. She had no intention of stopping. I asked her if she goes this time, I will have to tell people that the marriage is over. She said, go ahead. So, I told people that the marriage is over. I didn't tell them the truth, just that she doesn't want to live with us anymore, and most of the people already know that she frequently visits her home and is rarely here with us. A couple months ago, she called me and said that she was sorry and wants to return, and that she has ended the affair. I didn't believe her and just said let's stay in touch for a few days and see how it goes. I went to see her with my kid. We spent a day together. Remained in touch for like 2 weeks or so. Toward the end found out that she was lying about ending the affair for the 5th time. She cried and said that she is serious this time, but I told her that I don't see any way for us to live together because there is no end to her deception and cruelty. I respectfully disagree. I loved her very much, and I still do. A heart wants what a heart wants. I never disrespected her in front of anyone or when we were alone. The only problem I had was her language, curses, abuses, mean things about my siblings and parents. Even when I knew that she has a temper, I treasured her. I was reluctant to get married because I wasn't sure about my own future after the accident and didn't want her to suffer with me or do what she eventually did. She said that she wants to take care of me and that we won't have any financial problems because of some land that Maya and her family owns. Even if I force her to a polygraph, I will find out the truth, but that is not going to make her sincere with me and my son. Hence, the cry for help. I know we don't have a future together, but loving someone for 15 years and then finding out that all of it was false and pretend, it darn breaks your heart. She is managing it with lies. She lied to her parents about everything, tried to make them believe that I had gone crazy, suspicious, and it was not possible for her to stay with me any longer. Her father called me and asked me to be reasonable. I offered to show him photos of her with the other guy in their family home. He went quiet. I can't discuss it with anyone because that will be welcoming the ridicule, insult, and humiliation. In the beginning, and even now and then, I do think about X myself, public humiliation and such, but the saner head prevails because what will that accomplish? My son lost her mother, I lost my love, and my wife. We have to move on without her, but we don't know how to. Regarding your question about it being taboo in my country, you are ignoring one very basic fact. When you celebrate, the whole world celebrates with you. When you suffer alone. As long as her parents are okay with what she is doing, no one will dare accuse her of anything. During last 1 decade, divorce rate has skyrocketed here. There is this saying in my language that an amateur doctor will kill you curing your headache. We as a nation are not ready to have liberty as individuals since we lack the fundamental morals to use that liberty wisely. Well, some of us. For example, during our last days together, I told her that she owed me the truth. I have wasted 19 years of my life on you. At least, tell me the truth before you leave me for another man. She said mockingly, I don't want have to and I don't want to. We only have a X helpline in our country which is impossible to get through. No psychiatrist to be found anywhere, even in our metropolitan. So, we have a pretty lax policy regarding medicines. We get 99% of them OTC without any prescription. So, if you can recommend any, I will be grateful. I take meds which makes me sleepy. I can't drink, I can't smoke pot. I don't have access to any narcotics. She would never even have dared to cheat if this was 30 years ago. Most likely, someone from her own home would have noticed that she was coming back home too often and would have restricted her visits. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier, this is not the same community anymore. Now, if people find out someone, be it a woman or a man, is behaving indecently, they try to find angles on how to get some. To prove fornication here in a court of law requires 2 eyewitnesses, law amendments during last 2 decades. And even though the parents know that she is in the wrong here, they can do more than dialogues. If I expose her, that will leave a stigma on my kid's future, so does divorce, but it is still the lesser of 2 evils. And yes, the other man is risking a lot, but I don't think getting him beat up will solve anything. She is good looking and I am pretty sure he is not the only one. And speaking of honorable, this affair started years before our marriage. It seems as if I am the one who cut in. I told you that a lot of mildly educated people here completely lack the social moral fiber. Then again, there is truth to what you have said. I don't know if I am afraid or not, or if I handled it correctly, but I do know that I am hurting, my son is hurting, and she is having the time of her life. We were engaged for 7 years before marriage. We could meet, call, and have fun. Engagement has sort of become a social acceptance for kids from 2 different families to get to know each other in a safe environment. There were nights we spent talking. Before I confessed to her, I kind of asked her if this is what she wanted. Frankly speaking, I didn't have much experience with women. She was only my second romantic attachment. I asked her if there was anyone else that she would rather be married to, and I do believe at that time, there wasn't. Then after 4 years and my car accident, when she insisted on marriage, I asked her again because infidelity from my beloved has always been kind of a nightmare for me. She again said no, there isn't anybody, only this time, she lied. Her mother is the one that calls the shots in their home. I later came to find out that they used to fight a lot over this affair. Most of the time, if she were there and they had a fight, she would call me to come and pick her up, spend a few days with me, then return and resume. They could have forced her to keep her marriage if it were like 20 to 30 years ago, because marriage here is a contract between 2 families and each one is responsible for their own end. I know about at least 4 marriages from previous generation which came to the verge of divorce due to infidelity, but were saved by elders. They all have kids my age now and are living happily. Now, it's becoming less and less effective. Ideally, this is exactly what I want to do. Self-pity, loathing, jealousy, hurt, agony, and rage keep attacking me. I can't spend even few minutes without the image of them together. Then again, she is a crappy person, but she is my son's mother. I can't stop them from interacting. She calls him once or twice a week or every 10 days. That one call throws me off. And I am back to square one. I want to go numb. There is this song in my language. God, the tragedies you showered upon me failed to kill me. Try throwing some joy my way to see if that does it. Something has to change. I have seen that the hope for a better future helps me to move forward. I tried working. That helps if I keep myself busy. But then again something happens. One call, one mention of her in a conversation, a small trigger, and everything slips away. The 27th of October last year was the day when she left. It's been a whole year, and I am nowhere even close enough to gain my footing. I need something to take the edge off when that happens. Twice I came very close to paying off some people to have that guy's leg chopped off. I don't want to live in anguish. So please, if anyone is reading this, if you can suggest any medication, which can help even a little, please let me know. Every little reinforcement helps. This might not be a big thing for you to do, but for me it could serve like an anchor to keep me afloat. Her affair started before I had that accident. At that point the other guy wasn't married. He did propose her, if what she told me was true. She could have married her and no one would have stopped her. In our society, men can marry more than one woman. She could have left me at any time and had married him before the kid was born or even before marriage or after. I have mentioned that she never bonded with the kid as his mother. In fact, to stop him from coming back with me, she would sometime tell him that if he went back with me, I would sell him to the kidnappers when he was 4 or 5 years old. He told me that a couple years ago. After marriage, I spent like a year and a half on bed. I had severe episodes of vertigo due to concussion and the accident. They had to cut the spilled out part of my brain to avoid infection. The moment I found out we were expecting, I started working out. Applied for a job in 36 companies. I didn't look very good cause of skull reconstruction surgeries and landed a good job as a script writer for online chat support. I was never a dull man. The point is that I stood up and made her proud when she needed it. She wanted us to live separately. I rented a place, found a servant to help her with daily chores, and kept going. However, she would still take the servant with her and would leave me behind alone and spend months at her parents'. She took a broken man, cheated on him for 15 years, and left him devastated. I can't even begin to imagine what my son is going through. I will stand back up because I don't have a choice, and I want to do it for my son. I have started working on 2 different projects to keep myself busy, and now I feel that my son is depressed cause he is starting to experience odd illnesses. Yesterday we went to see an orthopedic to have his mysterious pain above the right ankle checked out. He was unable to diagnose and just said that it was calcium and vitamin deficiency. I told him that I have been regularly feeding him fruits and milk formula ever since he was 1. He prefers fruit over junk food. Now I am planning to take him to a physiotherapist to see if he can help. Now whenever she calls him, he gets depressed. I don't know if I should stop it or not. Apparently, it's not doing him any favors. I don't want to stay stuck on her. Hence, I asked if someone could tell me what I should take to manage the depression. I hate myself for missing her and being sad for her. I can't discuss it with anyone. I told my father what had happened and he looked at me like I had slapped him by telling him this. Same goes for my elder brother. It's a joint family system with separate sections. People do know about the divorce because I told them, but they don't know the reason. She hasn't still filed for alimony. She wanted to come back to prove that the divorce is a lie and I have gone crazy or something, so whatever I say is just a joke, I think. It was an arranged engagement. It was still up to us to decide if we wanted to get married or not. And we had 7 years to get to know each other. I fell in love with her. She fell in love with someone else. She made me believe she loved me and there was no one else. My son and I just have too many things to do. Studies, sports, video games, and so much else. Even when we were not divorced, he was never happy to leave me behind and go with her. Even when he went, after he was like 6, he would call me to come and pick him up after a couple of days. I never discouraged them meeting. I never discouraged them speaking on the phone, even though I could see that each interaction makes my son depressed and sad. Now I am not comfortable with him suffering. If she stays away, we do miss her, but it is not as intense as when she contacts. I am scared that he would get stuck on her just like me. In fact, I think he already is. Exposing her will make me a laughingstock and stigmatize my son. My comment: she probably married you because her parents wanted her to, or because he wasn't available because of whatever his situation was. You might be better off with freedom. Exposing her would not make you a laughingstock. Being in this marriage is. Story 2. My husband and I have been married for 40 years. He recently gave me his phone to figure out why photos he sent me didn't go through. There was an email in the sent file from 20 months ago in which he told an old girlfriend that he still loved her. This discovery led to a discussion with him. Initially he denied everything and then eventually admitted sleeping with her and another old girlfriend during the first few years we were married. He also admitted to a 2-year affair with a woman he had worked with that began about 8 years into our marriage. We had a 1-year-old child at the time and had another child towards the end of the affair. He insists he has not cheated since that ended 30 years ago and that the email he sent was because he was drunk. I asked to look through his phone and he agreed. There were emails too, from another woman between 2013 to 2018 who he initially said was just an old friend. He finally admitted to sleeping with her a few times during the early years of our marriage. Most of his responses are I don't remember or I don't know. I emailed the 2 women he admitted to having had brief affairs with and asked them if they would be willing to provide additional details as to timeframes. I told them that I don't blame them as my husband was the one who was married. Both responded and apologized for their part. Both confirmed that they had known him before he met and married me. Both confirmed seeing him after we were married several times in the early 80s. One of them said that she also saw him twice in 1996. The other said that the emails they sent each other between 2013 to 2018 totaled about 10 and were just catching up with each other's lives. When confronted with the 1996 affair information, my husband said he doesn't remember. I have since discovered messages from the women he sent the recent email to saying he still loved her to him on Facebook Messenger, asking to see him as recently as last February. The messages had never been opened by him and he said he had not seen them. I believe him. I also discovered that he has an Ashley Madison account dating back to 2011 and Silver Singles account, opened in March 2020. He insists he was just curious and never met anyone. He probably didn't get a chance to pursue anyone on silver singles because of lockdown. I don't think he is being totally truthful with me, but wonder how much he truly doesn't remember and how much he is just lying about. This has been like death by 1,000 cuts as I keep discovering more after he insists he has told me everything. A couple of my girlfriends are telling me to just forgive him and move on since the affairs were years ago and I still live him. I'm not sure that he hasn't cheated since then and am worried about his lying. It feels as if our entire married life had been a lie. I would be interested in what others think of the situation. One of the things I struggle with is the anger I feel about losing my home and the lifestyle I have worked so hard for if I leave him. I am still in shock over all of this. I always felt that we lived a charmed life. Sometimes fate has a way of trying to even the score. He is indeed older now, over 70 and on many medications that cause ED. Even Viagra doesn't work for him now. I guess it's nature's way of punishing him for the illicit bonding he had. I think emotional affairs are just as much a betrayal as physical affairs. At least that is what I think at this moment. I feel like I am on an emotional roller coaster and can't get off. I wish I could be as black and white as some posters make this seem and just leave him. I'm going to process everything, explore my options, including consulting with a divorce attorney, and try to find the right solution. Seeing that email was a shot in the heart, especially because he knew her before me and has been with her several times during our marriage. She says the last time was 1996 and he says he only remembers the 80s. I have tried to get the answers I need, but he threatened X himself, saying he could just end the pain he was causing me. I asked him for details and he identified the method and said he would not do it at home. He denied having an immediate plan, but I removed his guns from the house and insisted he see a therapist. This was a couple of weeks ago, and although he has made some efforts to find a therapist, between lockdown and the holidays, he has not been successful. This has been through insurance providers, so the next step is to just pay. I don't believe he is at imminent risk of X and he has gotten what he wanted, no pressure. I have been clear with him that this will not continue and that if we are to stay together, he must start individual therapy before I will consider marriage counseling. Part of me feels con, but he has suffered from depression for years and could be telling the truth. You are right, the hurt and sense of betrayal doesn't go away. Some days are easier to deal with it than others. I am sorry for your situation. You are an amazing man to have raised and loved her lover's child. She should so be grateful for your love and kindness. Unfortunately, I still love him. 40 years of memories, mostly good, great kids and much in common, is hard to give up. I haven't decided what I want to do yet. I agree that he is owed nothing. My comment: your marriage was a total lie. He does not deserve any forgiveness nor mercy. If I found this type of information out, I would expose him to all my family and friends and divorce him. He is not the H you thought he was. He is not your friend. He is an enemy. There is no justification for this. The length of marriage, how long ago it was, etc. He has effectively been unfaithful for the majority of the marriage and has been on the prowl up until before lockdown. Why would you give this piece of crap another year of your life? As for his threatened ex himself, that is just a ploy. People like him are rarely selfless enough to do this to themselves. Instead of remorse and a willingness to become a better man, he pulls this crap. Story 3. I need help. I'm in such a dark place right now. I have suspected that my husband was cheating on me for a few months now, but I finally got my proof Saturday morning when I eavesdropped on his phone call. I confronted him and he confessed he's in love with a coworker. He's never been happier, and he's not sorry it happened because she gave him something I wasn't giving him. He didn't apologize. He said he was planning on ending it at some point and never telling me about it and just going back to being unhappy with me. We have 2 children, so I am sure that's the only reason he hasn't left me. I asked him to end it now and he said it's complicated because he doesn't want to hurt her. He doesn't care about hurting me though, so I don't know what to do. My first reaction was to ask for a separation, but that would mean he would have joint custody of our kids and I just can't let them go. They are literally the only good thing I have left. And honestly, he never wanted them in the first place, so I worry they wouldn't be treated as well as they should be. My second option is to just stay and cling to the hope that he will end it like he says he will and that we can somehow salvage our marriage. But I feel like he doesn't have any romantic feelings for me at all anymore. I'm just the mother of his children. He practically bit my head off when I called this an affair, and he doesn't think I can make him happy ever again. Also, he told the other woman that I found out and she asked him if they have a future together. He says he has been avoiding the question. But this woman is also married, although going through a divorce, so I fear once that happens, he's gone for good. He is adamant that he doesn't want to divorce me because he doesn't want the embarrassment of our family and friends finding out what he did. But it seems like he wants to have his cake and eat it too. Meanwhile, I'm heartbroken. I can barely eat. I can't focus on work. I'm barely hanging on. Is there any hope for us? Could he change his mind once he ends his affair and want to work things out? I have always been a very emotional person, but when I have moments of clarity, I see the situation for what it is and I don't want to be with this person. The only thing stopping me is not wanting to give up my kids, and that's a very difficult thing for me to come to terms with. The other woman is bi and is married to a woman. They are separated and I don't know how to even contact her. My husband and this woman were connected through the HR director at their job, if you can believe that. Everyone knew he was married. I will look up divorce attorneys. I don't want my children to grow up this way. I want them to know their mother is a strong, self-respecting woman. I do need to seek legal advice. I know the minute I ask for a divorce he will go on the defensive, and I don't know what he is capable of doing. I am employed and actually make more money than he does, so I know that will factor in. I do have a very close friend that I have confided in, but I'm looking into counseling as well. I imagine I have a long road ahead of me. He said some pretty hurtful things to me when I confronted him and forced him to give me the truth. EO and her wife are separated, so I believe the divorce is almost finalized. I feel like I'm still in shock over all of this, but I haven't had a breakdown today, which I'm counting as a win. When I confronted him on Saturday, he was defensive and angry that I was demanding the truth. He put all the blame on me, of course, and I was actually starting to believe and start almost defending his actions. He said he didn't like feeling like he had a deadline to end it because he was going to end it on his own. Oh my god, I literally just snorted reading that out loud. What the actual? Anyway, somehow, I let him make me feel like the bad guy. It wasn't until I posted here and confided in my closest friend that I started to see things more clearly. I'm not saying our marriage was perfect by any means, but he made the decision to betray our commitment to each other, not me. I wrote him a very lengthy letter this morning basically saying how much he hurt me, how disgusted I was that he wouldn't even admit that he was having an affair, and that he was trying to make me feel guilty about what he did, and that he put this person's feelings over mine, his wife of 14 years and mother of his 2 children. I ended it saying I wouldn't get in the way of his happiness then. He's free to go. I felt a weird sense of freedom and calm after I sent it. Like I needed it. He called me almost immediately after reading it, berating me for continuing to bring it up because he already said he was going to end it, and how dare I keep bringing it up and try to make him feel guilty. Then he hung up. He called an hour later to apologize for how he reacted. He said he didn't want to put a label on what he did because it makes him feel guilty and it's ruining the happiness he's feeling. I couldn't even. He then said he is going to end it. He just asked me for trust and time. I said, okay, take all the time you need. I trust you. Little does he know, he's still living at home. To clarify my earlier post, since it's not super clear, when he apologized, he said he wants to end his IA and stay with me. That he wanted me to trust that he would break it off with the O, but that it would take him a little time because of whatever reason he gave me. I don't even care at this point. That's when I said, yes, I trust you, take the time you need. But really, I have no intention of staying with him and I'm looking into my options. For now, I don't want to give him any indication of that though. I'm just acting like nothing is wrong, making sure the home is in order and the kids are happy and loved. But I do need to look up the 180 thing you all are mentioning. And I have an appointment for my yearly physical next week, so I'll be getting tested for sure, although I am pretty sure we didn't sleep once he started screwing that woman. I just want to scream and cry and throw things and take a sledgehammer to his car. I think the numbness I felt for the last 2 days is wearing off. Why do people cheat on their spouses? If they are so unhappy, why don't they just leave? How can anyone be okay destroying someone else's life and their own children's lives? He still won't admit it and won't use the word affair, but supposedly he ended the physical part once I found out. Apparently felt no guilt when I had no clue what he was doing, but now that I know, he feels guilty about it. So now he's working on ending the emotional part. Little does he know that I don't buy his BS story that he's going to end his relationship with this other woman, and that I'm actually planning to slap him with divorce papers instead. Update: I'm a mess all over again. I have good moments and really bad moments. It's funny you mention eating because I've barely been able to stomach anything since Saturday. I've lost 4 pounds. I'm trying though, even just little bites here and there. I just have this constant uneasy, nervous, sour, anxious feeling in my stomach. I don't even feel like me at times. I'm sitting here typing this and I feel like I'm just an observer watching this train wreck and not being able to do anything about it. I just really deep down in my heart never ever thought he would do this. He's never done anything even remotely close before. It's just so hard to accept it. He definitely is the knight in shining armor. He goes out of his way to help others and project that image. Weekend was okay. He got me flowers for Mother's Day. I just wanted to cry. I hope you had a nice weekend. Anyway, he still hasn't ended his affair. He's trying to make me understand and be sympathetic because she's going through a tough family situation, so he just can't end things right now to spare her more pain. But it's okay that I'm feeling like crap every minute of every day. We had a massive argument on Monday and he flat out told me not to expect an apology or that he will beg for forgiveness because I know that's not who he is. That was the last thing I needed to officially cut him off. I actually thought for a second that we might be able to reconcile, but he has no remorse. He's still with her. He hasn't seen his kids in 3 days because he goes to work early before they wake up and comes home at 2 a.m. He just doesn't care about anyone but himself. And he actually had the balls to ask me to trust him and have faith that he'll end it at the right time. Am I in a dream? Am I being punked? I literally can't believe this is happening. I'm in some alternate universe, I just know it. My comment: I know that it had to be hard, but that argument was a good thing. It opened your eyes and helped you see what you now need to do. He is deep in the fog of the affair. You do not have to understand anything about his affair and tell him you have no sympathy for anything she is going through. She is a person who is destroying your family, so why exactly should you worry about her family issues?